Alrighty, here is the next video to show you Area 51, the 51 Tesla Superchargers. And no, it is not Roswell, New Mexico. It is Sutherlin, Oregon, about 100 miles north of the border with California, as the crow flies, so to speak. So I'm going to take you on a brief tour of this new facility. As I do so, I'll tell you a little bit about electric vehicles. Now, I do not claim to be an absolute expert with electric vehicles. However, I will tell you that one of the biggest advantages, though this may sound overly obvious, is that when you are right next to that vehicle, you are not noticing any emissions from that vehicle. However, as popular culture and news of various sources will tell you, there is a certain carbon footprint, so to speak, when it comes to the production of the batteries and, of course, these charging facilities, as well as the charging infrastructure, which includes the production of the power and so forth. So with that, there are a lot of different factors to consider. I'm going to swing around to this other side. Yes, there really are 51 individual charging stations. And yes, the grand opening is mostly finished. There are still some balloons around. But back to the electric vehicles. They are very, very nice in that if you can produce the electricity in an environmental manner that is not producing literal tons of carbon dioxide and noxious gases and so forth. For example, if you have solar power, or you have safe and efficient wind turbine charging, then there's not as much of a concern. But if you are charging your vehicle with the traditional coal power plants or certain other sources that have negative effects, such as nuclear power plants in certain circumstances can be obviously very negative. Well, if you have the right kind of power source, then it can be much better. But the other side of the story is, how are you sourcing and producing all of the materials for the batteries? So one last thing I will mention, as I am back where I started here on my little rounds the parking lot tour, I will just mention that if more manufacturers produced vehicles that had very small batteries and therefore a very low impact to the environment for the battery production, that would be excellent for those who are just commuting maybe 10 or 20 miles a day. For example, myself, my commute round trip is about 27 miles per day. A lot of people have shorter commutes who live in the city and so forth. Of course, many people have longer commutes, but if you could tailor the battery capacity to exactly what you need and perhaps make it modular so that you could swap it out. Say you moved somewhere where you had a 100-mile commute. You could just swap out the battery, and just like someone might upgrade their tires, or a little bit more involved than that, obviously, but just something as simple as that. And then you could get what you actually need and turn in the old batteries that could be used in a smaller vehicle or a lower range vehicle, or be recycled, like Tesla does a lot of reusing of their batteries for the various power supplies and backups and so forth that they do as well. All right, well, that will conclude today's video. Thanks, everyone. And you all have a great rest of your day and have fun learning more about Tesla.